Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me again today. I've another Christmas project for you today, and this time we are using the Flourish filigree set from the Autumn Winter catalogue, which I have to admit I overlooked completely when I first looked through the catalogue, but my good friend Jez Carpenter, who goes under the name of Jezza Creates, pointed it out to me, and I'm actually falling in love with it. This is another set. This is her fault. I keep buying more and more things because she points out how nice they are. So we're making this project today. I'm using quite an unusual Christmas colour scheme. I hope you can see how lovely and silvery that is if I just wiggle it around. Just let me see if I can see my screen. Can you see? Oh yes, you can see the lovely silver embossing there. It's really, really pretty in real life. I'm going to show you how I made it. I'm using, like I said, an unusual colour scheme. I've got Pool Party card base with a Highland Heather panel, and I've embossed in silver, heat embossed in silver. So let me show you how I made it. So I'm starting off with a Pool Party card blank, which is my usual size, which is 21 centimetres by nearly 15, by about 14.8, just so that you can get 2 out of an A4 sheet, and I've scored it at 10.5. And then I need a panel, and today I'm going to use my Stamparatus. I think this is the first time I've used my Stamparatus on screen, but I just want to show you how easy it is. And with a big stamp like this, it's easy to get places that don't stamp properly. With the Stamparatus that doesn't matter, because you can keep stamping until you're happy with it. So I've got my Stamparatus here. I've got my panel that I've cut to the right size. What I'm going to do first of all is just use my embossing buddy, which will just make sure I don't get any stray specks of embossing powder where I don't want them. This will just dry out the surface, make sure no fingerprints or anything are on there. So that's there, and I'm then going to place my piece of card in my Stamparatus right down at the corner, and I'm going to bring my magnet, which I've put a bit of washi tape around just to make it easier to lift it up, because otherwise they're quite difficult to handle, and I'm going to put it on my card there. I'm only going to use one magnet today. And I'm then going to place my stamp where I want it to be stamped on my card. So I'm putting it upside down on my Stamparatus. I think that's about central. And then I can bring over the plate, and the plate will pick it up. There we go. Just make sure that's there. Then I'm going to ink up with Versamark, because I'm going to use silver embossing powder today. So I'm going to make sure my stamp is well covered. And I'm then going to print, and I should be able to see where it's stamped really well and where it hasn't. You might need quite a bit of pressure on the plates to make sure you get a clear image. There we go. That's not bad. I'm going to ink it up just a little bit more. It looks doesn't look like there's a huge amount of ink in the middle there, so I'm just going to ink it up one more time and do it again. And the joy of the Stamparatus is, of course, you can do that as many times as you like, and you'll get it in exactly the same place. So if you haven't invested in a Stamparatus, maybe that would be a fantastic Christmas present. So there's my panel. I'm going to pop my Stamparatus out of the way, and I'm going to bring in my silver embossing powder and my scrap sheet to emboss on. So I'm going to sprinkle my embossing powder all over this image, like so. I don't normally do heat embossing on camera, but I wanted to show you the Stamparatus and how to use that. So there we go. Make sure it's covered. Give it a quick flick, and if there are any stones, so I can see a few bits and pieces, so I'm going to bring in a tiny paintbrush and just get rid of the bits that I can see. I actually don't mind if there are a few odd stray bits, because actually it adds to the effect of it. I'm going to give it a blow. Don't blow too close to your embossing powder though. There we go. Right, I'm just going to put my embossing powder back in the container, otherwise that'll go everywhere. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in my heat gun and Oh, there we go. And heat emboss my image. Always magical when you see this changing colour. Never fails to excite me. If you're doing this at home, I would advise you that you give it 10 minutes or so for this panel to cool down before you try and stick it. And you see it's slightly changing colour. This Highland Heather is very interesting. It changes colour as you heat it up and then goes back to the right colour when it cools down again. The heat just seems to have that effect on it. There we go. There's our lovely filigree pattern. Really pretty. Okay, so there's my, so I'm just going to leave that for a minute to cool down. I've already taken there's a really lovely stamp in this set, which is this one, which matches our pretty little label punch there, and it's just nice and just fits on top of the filigree really nicely. So I have already stamped that in Versamark and silver embossed it, and I have it here. So I'm just going to show you how I use my punch. So I use all my punches upside down and I line them up, so just fiddle around until you've got them exactly in the right place. Might take you a little while because you want to line it all up so it's got the same border all the way around. There we go. And then you can just slightly close the punch and grab the card, so it's not going to move, but I haven't punched anything yet. And then check that you're, oh there, I'm not really happy with it because it's moved. Let's try again. Line it up really nicely. It always takes me ages to do this on camera. It doesn't take me so long when I'm not filming. There we go, and punch. And so that's my label going to go on there. So hopefully my panel has cooled down enough. It's cooler now. It's gone back to the same colour, you see. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of Tombow on my panel. The heat does warp the card a little bit because you're heating such a large area with this. So you might want to just put it between some books or something as it cools down. There we go. Oh, can you see where the glue has gone on? It's cooled the card down and changed it back to the Highland Heather colour. I do find it fascinating how this card changes colour. Okay, so it's going to go on here, making sure that we get the edges, the borders, all equidistant so that it looks, so you get a professional finish. I think that's a real giveaway with handmade cards when things aren't stuck on straight like that wasn't. That's what's good about the Tombow, is you'll get some wiggle time to wiggle it into place. And then I'm going to bring my bone folder in and just make sure all those edges are really well stuck down and that the glue has made contact, because I don't want any edges lifting up. There we go. Still was a little bit warm, my panel, so I would advise you to wait a little while before you try and glue it on till it really is cool. As I'm doing this on camera, didn't have that luxury of time. There we go. Right, I'm then going to bring in my tear and tape, and I've got a little bit of our glimmer ribbon, our pool party glimmer ribbon. I'm going to put this across here, remove the backing with my tweezers. If you can, I always find tear and tape the best way to stick ribbon, if it's appropriate on your project. Then I'm going to place my ribbon. Yep, that's okay. And then I'm just going to come in with a few. I've cut some big dimensionals in half here. Seems such a waste using them. Don't need a whole one each time. You can get away with a half one. So there we go. Just going to come in with one more in the centre so it doesn't bow down in the centre. And then with my tweezers, remove that. So you could see how you could actually make quite a few of these cards in quite a short amount of time. So if you decided this was your Christmas design for this year, you could actually knock out quite a few of these in quite a short amount of time. There we go. And I'll put that in there. There! What do you think? Love that shiny. There's my first one, and there's today's. I love that shiny embossing powder, and the shine it gives it. So hope you like that project. I'll be back with more very, very soon. I have got some non-Christmas projects to do. I know we're still quite away from Christmas, I'm sure, and I'm already getting fed up with Christmas, if I'm honest. But I've got some non-Christmas projects coming up, so do join me for those. But meanwhile, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, bye.